שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. When you really sing out, you make a beautiful sound and fill this space with holy music, with holy prayer. That's what we are here to do. Welcome to one and all. Welcome to our old friends and new friends, to our congregants, to our guests, to everyone who has stepped through that door looking for a little breath of something. Whatever it is that you feel you need, I hope that in this prayer space you will find it, or you will have a moment that points your heart in the direction to help you find it. That's what I pray every time we pray. So I invite everybody who has received a small slip of paper, the very small one that has names of our hostages on them, to please rise, as together we're going to read all of the names of those who are still held in captivity, as has been our custom in our congregation since October 7th. Friends, please read their names one by one. Thank you. Everyone else may please rise if you're comfortable doing so. We turn now to our Daf Tefillah, our prayer page. And as we stand in solidarity with Jewish people and people of conscience throughout the world, as we affirm that one more day in captivity is one day too many. Acheinu v'achiotenu kol beit Yisrael, hanetunim b'tzaro v'shivya, ha'omdim ben bayam uven bayabasha. Hamakom yirachem alehem, v'yotzi'em mitzara l'revacha, me'afela l'ora, u'mishiyabu l'geula, hashta ba'agala v'izman kariv v'imru. Amen. Together we can read our brothers and sisters, the whole house of Israel, who are in distress and captivity, who wander over sea and over land. May God have mercy on them and bring them from distress to comfort, from darkness to light, from slavery to redemption, now, swiftly, and soon. Amen ve'amen. May this be our fervent prayer. Everyone can have a seat. This is a great opportunity to turn to someone you don't know and wish them a Shabbat Shalom. Otherwise, we can wait. Friends, we light the Shabbat candles, and as we kindle these lights, we affirm all that is good and just and hopeful in our world. Page 120, we kindle the lights of Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת. Shabbat Shalom, Haida and Joshua. And Shabbat Shalom to everyone. We're appreciative, Haida and Joshua, of you greeting everyone and helping us get settled with our Shabbat service tonight. And you'll see Haida a little later in the service. We enter Kabbalat Shabbat, that first section of our prayer service together, on page 130. And this melody has a little call and response. So if you know it, please model it for everyone around you. You'll pick it up very quickly. Come, let us raise a shout. Let us sing out joyously to Adonai, a psalm of celebration for our deliverance, our freedom, something we never take for granted. That repeats. Words are easy, right? No excuses. One more time. Letzor Yishenu, Lechu neranena, L'Adonai naria, Letzor Yishenu, Nekadma fanav, fan, vetoda, Bizmirot narialo, Nekadma fanav, vetoda, yeah, Bizmirot narialo. All right, I think you're already getting it and you're sounding great. So just to review that call and response, I sing Nikadma fanav, you sing fanav, vetoda, Bizmirot narialo. We sing that line together. Bizmirot, just try that. Bizmirot narialo. Okay, so that means with joyous song we sing unto God. Bizmirot narialo. Let's all try that together. Bizmirot narialo. Nekadma fanav. Vetoda. Bizmirot narialo. Okay, so the first time it goes low, the second time it goes low to resolve it. Bizmirot narialo. Let's all try that. Bizmirot narialo. That's it. Lechu neranena, L'Adonai naria, Letzor Yishenu, Lechu neranena, L'Adonai naria, Letzor Yishenu, Nekadma fanav, vetoda, Bizmirot narialo. You sound great. Nekadma fanav, vetoda, Bizmirot narialo. Yai-dai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai-dai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai-dai, 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 yai-dai-dai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai. Yai-dai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai-dai, 131. Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai baruchu shemo, Basru miyom leyom Yeshuato, Sapru vagoim kevodo bechol ha'amim nifleotav ki gadol Adonai umulal meod norahu Al kol Elohim, rai, ki kol Elohei ha'amim elelim, va'adonai shamayim asa, hod vehadar lefanav, Oz v'tiferet b'mikdasho. Yandai, yandai, bottom paragraph. Yismechu hashamayim v'tagil haaretz. Yiram mayam umelo yalo sadai. Asher bo, rai, az yeranenu kolat seyar, lifnei Adonai kiva, lishpot haaretz, lishpot tevel, b'tzedek, ve'ami ve'emunato, yadadai, yandai, yadadai, oh, clap your hands, yandai, We turn the page. Hopefully our spirits are a little more alive with song as Shabbat comes in. And we continue with page 134, Zamru Ladonai. Praise with every instrument we can dream of, and our voices and our spirits. Zamru Ladonai bechinor, bechinor vekol zimra, bachatzotrot vekol shofar. Hariu lifnei hamelech Adonai, Zamru Ladonai bechinor, bechinor vekol zimra, bachatzotrot vekol shofar. Hariu lifnei hamelech Adonai, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam umlao, Tevel veyoshveva, Neharot imcha uchaf yachad harim yiranenu. 4 lines from the bottom. Lifnei Adonai kiva, lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel v'tzedek, ve'amim b'mesharim. Yiram hayam umlo, tevel ve'yoshveva, neharot imcha uchaf נשקף יחד הרים ירננו. Page 138. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Come, beloved, let us go out to meet Shabbat. Let us go find the bride, that loved one we've been missing. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala. B'nei penei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala. Penei penei Shabbat nekavela. Let's hear your voices. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Penei penei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala. Penei penei Shabbat nekavela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad. Yishmi'anu el ha'meyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shem u'tiferet v'litila la 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 la. Lecha lecha likrat. B'nei penei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala. B'nei penei Shabbat nekavela. Verse 2, likrat Shabbat. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha. Ki mekor haberacha. Merosh mikedem nesucha. סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, la 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 la. Lecha lecha likrat kala. Penei penei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala. Penei penei Shabbat nekavela. Mikdash melech ir melucha. Kumi tzei mitoch aflecha. רב לך שבט ועמק אבכה, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה לה לה. lecha lecha dodi likrat kala. B'nei penei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala. B'nei penei Shabbat nekavela. Verse 5. Hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva orech kumi uri shir daberi. Kivod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat nekavela. We rise, if it's comfortable to do so, as we face the entrance to welcome the presence of Shabbat into our midst. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am skula. Boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. It's your last chance. Lecha lecha likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. We remain standing and turn to page 148 for our call to prayer, the Baruch Hu. Sorry, it's page 146. Getting ahead of myself. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed. And we can turn the page 148. We read together in English. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Ma'avir yom u'me'evi laila, u'mavdil ben yom u'ven laila. Adonai tzvaot shemo, el chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai, amari v'aravim. Page 150, Avat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amchavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, B'shochbeinu u'bekumenu, Nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratcha, u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki heim chayenu ve'orech yameinu, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. Page 152. שמע ישראל, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kibor Malechuto Leolam Vaed. Please have a seat. Page 154. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם. בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. We'd love a volunteer who could share an English reading, directing our hearts toward our freedom prayer, Birkat Geula. Who's an English volunteer? Please, Ron, come on up. We're on page 157 at the top of the page. Here. Ron, come here, straight to the mic. This one is a little better. Yeah, perfect.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Just so, thank you. The rabbis teach that Egypt, Mitzrayim, is not just a place, it is an existential state. Mitzrayim, the narrow straits, is a way to understand. The Meitzarim, the places that squeeze and deprive fullness of life. So in every time and age, we must stand up against those forces and assert that there is a better way forward and that we can bring it about together. That's what we sing, page 158. מי כמוך בעלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני מרים. זה לי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם לעולם ועד. Everybody, yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da 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 yada da da yada da 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 yada da da yada da da da. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Page 161, we read together this prayer of repose and peace, one of the most beautiful ones we have, I think, and we have a lot of beauties. Let's read together. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Page 160. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu Lechayim. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu Lechayim. Ushmor tzedenu shalom me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Baruch atah Adonai Haporei Sukat Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. If it's comfortable, please rise. Page 164 begins the Amidah. This is an opportunity to encounter God with one of the grandest metaphors in our prayer book, the metaphor of approaching a king or queen, a sovereign, sitting in a throne, realizing that we stand in humility before something far greater than us is a very important human need to encourage humility and a sense of place and gratitude in our world. But this is the point in the service where I always remind our worshipers that this image of kings and queens and thrones and castles, it is an image, a metaphor from a different time and place, a place in which the grandiose inspired a sense of reverence for that which was beyond us. And it is possible that that metaphor is complicated in our day and age for any number of reasons. So if it's helpful, I also encourage you to think about sitting down at a Shabbat table quietly with someone you admire so deeply, the mentor who matters to you most in your life, both of you rolling up your sleeves, enjoying a little sip of schnapps or perhaps a fine whiskey or the non-alcoholic libation of choice, and getting to be in the presence of greatness that inspires you and wakes you up to your life's purpose. That's what this moment is. So if the kings and queens and castles and bows aren't quite doing it for you, try a different metaphor. But try it on seriously, and it might take you somewhere. Page 164. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chastei Avot ve'imahot, Umevi Geula livnei vneihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah. Page 168. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atarav Lehoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim. Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Baal Givurot, Umido Melach, Melech Meimit Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman Atah Lehachayot Hakol. Baruch Atah Adonai Mechayeh Hakol. Page 170. Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh U'Kedoshim B'chol Yom Yihallelu Selah. Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. We continue with Tefillah Balachash, silent prayer through page 180. Take the time you need and have a seat when you're ready. Turn to page 178. We'll sing a meditation together. Shalom Rav. I don't always know in advance who my musical collaborators are. It's a real treat to have Evan here today. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Let's all try that together. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim. Israel Amcha Tasim Leolam Ki Ata Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom Ki Ata Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amecha Yisrael bechol heit ubechol shah b'shlomecha. Shalom Shalom Rav Yisrael Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Yasher koach, indeed. The good news is he's not going very far away to college. How often I'll be able to convince him to come here when he wants to be with his friends on a Friday night, I guess we will find out. But if he brings them with, that's always a good idea. Okay.
You gotta feed him.
That's one of the more Jewish things I've heard all night. It's so joyful to spend this time together and to be with one another as a community. And in the midst of that joy, we realize there is also pain and sadness that each of us carry, each in our own way. And so we do pause every time we gather to think of those who are in need of healing. I'll share the names of those who are known to me. And if you have others in your lives you would like to share with the congregation, you're more than welcome to do so afterwards. Tonight we think of our temple members, April Diamato, Mark Warner, and Stacy Reed, as well as our loved ones, Connie Ambrosino, Anna Pakosh, Mickey Bart, Ginny Miller, Jay Fliss, Alice McNeil, Brian Reese, Joanne Crisulo, Soraya Casey, John Van Steenbergen, Greg Imler, Shelley Imler, Leslie Swirsky, Keith Siegel, Paul Frisman, Bruce Petroff, Kenneth Schachter, Shelley Koslow, Beth Zagoria, Edison Goff, Rick Hamlin, Marnie Katz, Benjamin Meir Benrut, Stephen Asnes, Deanna Rosenberg Garabo, Shoshana Batsara Esther, Hardy Schreiber, Ron Cohn, Edwin Guido, Dan McLaren, Dan Keefe, and Julius Kislak. If there are others whom we should call to mind at this time for healing of body or spirit or soul, please feel free to share their names with the community if you would like. Please. Joseph Licka. Carol Robb. Ann Rosen.
Yolni Sickner.
Say the first name again.
Yolni Slickner.
Yolni Slickner.
Yes.
Yolni Slickner. Others, friends? We hold them all in heart and prayer. As together we turn to page 371 in our prayer books for Misha Berach. מקור הברכה לימותינו. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, You may have noticed that it has been hot and very humid lately. if you think it's been hot lately, I invite you to consider imagining wandering through the Sinai desert in July. No coolers, no air conditioning, very little water, long sleeve garments, which actually help protect your water supply and keep you cooler. No wonder that water is one of the central concerns and central complaints of the Israelites, especially as we read these Torah portions throughout the book of Numbers. In the recent weeks, we've encountered several stories in the Torah in which the Israelites complain about water, nonstop it seems, and each time Moses provides it. The last of these stories about water, and there are many, takes place in this week's Torah portion, which is called Parshat Chukat. The people in this Torah portion complain they have no water, so what does Moses do? He picks up his staff and he strikes a nearby rock, obviously. And what happens? Water comes out. Astonishingly, though, God then punishes Moses, explaining, because you did not have enough faith in me to sanctify me in the sight of the Israelites, you will not bring this community into the land that I have given them. Notice how God says given them, not given you, adding insult to injury. Yes, you heard that quote correctly, my friends, because after 40 years plus of dedication just throughout the desert, after his patience, occasional impatience, the many toils of leadership, our leader par excellence is punished to die overlooking the land. He will never enter that land that he has spent all of his life leading his people toward, all for hitting a rock. What on earth is going on? The situation is even more perplexing when we realize that Moses was simply attempting to replicate a previous intervention. In fact, in the book of Exodus, chapter 17, God instructs him to hit a rock, a different one, and he does so, leading to plenty of water without incident. Why then, when he does the same thing, is he punished, and punished so severely? It's one of the really flummoxing questions of the Torah. And the medieval commentators are quite divided as for the reason of the punishment. Was it Moses' anger? Was it the physical act in combination with his anger? Or perhaps it was because by doing so, he exercised his hubris in implying that it was he and perhaps Aaron, and that is not God, who were responsible for drawing water from that rock. Okay. Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks of blessed memory, the former chief rabbi of England, proposed that Moses, quote, neither sinned nor was punished. He merely acted as he had done almost 40 years earlier when God told him to hit the rock, and thereby showed that though he was the right leader for the people who had been slaves in Egypt, he was not the leader for their children, who were born in freedom and would conquer the land. Okay, but I have to admit that it's very challenging still for me to accept this, or indeed any explanation which deprives Moses of the satisfaction of completing his life's work. After all, many biblical characters act far more rashly without being punished nearly as severely. We could cite many examples, which we don't have to do, but maybe a Torah study tomorrow morning, you'll bring some of your ideas, or at the oneg afterwards. Another possible explanation for this punishment, and this is my pontification, is that Moses' fate is much less about him as a leader or as a person, and more about the Israelites. They simply need a new leader for such a very different stage of their national life. And Moses' continued presence in the midst of that community would pose an impossible challenge to his successor. In other words, it's not about Moses' talents or the lack thereof, but the needs of the community passing from one hand to the next, passing the baton, if you will, passing the staff. And can you imagine what such a leadership transition would even look like? how difficult it might be, the entire community having formed their identity based on Moses' leadership. And yet there is another factor at play. The Parsha also describes the death of Aaron and Miriam, Moses' brother and sister, or perhaps clanmates, but we don't know exactly the relationship. The Torah differs, but we often think about them as brother and sister to Moses. Although we don't know how quickly they die in succession, it seems, the way you read it in the Torah, very fast. And at this point in the biblical narrative, then, virtually everyone Moses has ever known or loved has died. Just think about it. Remember that story a couple of weeks ago when the scouts enter the land to check out how good it is, what its attributes are, and because of their false report, God punishes the people to wander in the desert. Hence, we are all the wandering Jews from that day forward. All right, that whole 40-year punishment is in this Torah portion already at its completion, and it's an entirely new generation. The only two exceptions are Caleb and, this is a good trivia question, anybody know the other one? And Joshua, thank you. Caleb and Joshua are the only two living members of the Israelite nation who were alive at the time of the Exodus. Everybody else has died, as God's punishment indicated, that a new generation would arise to enter the land and inherit it. So just, if you might, put yourself in Moses' shoes for a moment. Being Moses was always a lonely job. Being a leader in general can be a lonely job, and being a prophet stuck squarely in the middle of a God who was never satisfied with the people and the people who were never satisfied with God, each complaining against the other, and one party constantly threatening to radically destroy the other, must be a very tiring job, must be a very lonely job. Being the person who's the only human being who gets to see God panim el panim, face to face, and converse with God as though conversing with a human being must be a very lonely, if awe-inspiring beyond human imagination type of experience. So just imagine how lonely he feels now, having just lost those closest to him. When my grandma Shirley was well into the winter of her life, I asked Grandma Shirley about aging. She had always been a defiantly positive person, even though her life had not always been kind to her. But as she reached her late 80s, her friends began to die. Younger people in her retirement community would frequently die. At a certain point, virtually all of her peers had left the earth, leaving her behind. For all her optimism, this definitely affected her profoundly. Although she was always smiles and positivity, she also let me into some of the loneliness of that experience. This psychological toll must have landed heavily on Moses, too. And the link between the water and the loss of Miriam, his sister, is one that is explored in depth within Jewish tradition. As we read in the Torah, and I quote, "In the first month, the whole Israelite community arrived at the desert of Tzin. They stayed there at Kadesh, and there Miriam died and was buried." That's Numbers, the end of Numbers chapter 19. And the beginning of Numbers 20, the next verse reads, "Now there was no water for the community, and the people gathered in opposition to Moses and Aaron." Okay, so that's the precipitating event that leads to Moses' punishment. Now, the Talmud famously opines that while Miriam was still alive, a well would in fact rise up and follow the Israelites throughout the desert to give them water and the surety therein. And the Talmud interprets this based on the immediate closeness of Miriam's death with the lack of water. And so that's why, by the way, you might remember from our Passover Seder, we had Elijah's cup, but also Miriam's cup to symbolize how she was the provider and the sustainer, the sustenance bringer of the people. Presumably then when she died, her well dried up too. The Midrash goes into detail about this. And so imagine, again, from Moses' point of view, each complaint from the Israelites must have felt like a double insult. On the one hand, the ongoing lack of trust from the flock, which goes all the way back for Moses to the incident of the golden calf and even before then. And on the other hand, the trauma of his sister's loss. Moses, in his grief, was understandably angry when he hit that rock. Rabbi Sachs, whom I quoted earlier, invites us to read these series of events from this point of view. He writes, "That was the first trial that Moses had to face as leader of the people without the presence of his sister. Let us recall who Miriam was. For Moses, she was his elder sister, his oldest sibling. She had watched over his fate as he floated down the Nile in a pitched basket. She had the presence of mind, the audacity to speak to Pharaoh's daughter and to arrange for the child to be nursed by an Israelite woman, that is, Moses' own mother, Yocheved. Without Miriam, Moses would have grown up not knowing who he was and to which people he belonged." I think Rabbi Sachs is very insightful here, showing that the resilient Moses is given early and ongoing help by primarily the strong women who surround him. That's the story of his early life. And without Miriam, without Aaron, without all those others whom he had come to rely on, we could name also his father-in-law, Jethro, who's his greatest mentor and confidant. When all of them are gone, his sense of self must be compromised. I think that this is where I want to remind us of the good thing about the Torah, which is that it specifically does not give us superhumans or superheroes. It gives us incredible people who are very deeply flawed and who are very deeply human. And their struggles we can see in a mirror to our own. Consider two early stories about Moses. The first, where we can call his awakening to his responsibility to his people. He sees an Egyptian taskmaster beating an Israelite slave. So what does he do? He rises up and he kills that Egyptian. Then when God approaches Moses to lead the people to freedom, Moses demurs. He's consumed by anxiety and he proclaims to God, "Lo ish devarim anochi." God, I am not a man of words. How will I lead? Please, God, send somebody else. One way then to read Parshat Chukat is to consider it a regression to the Moses from decades before. The frail and vulnerable Moses that was always inside. The younger Moses, even as he grew into leadership, that's the Moses that he always had inside and that we always have inside. The younger version of ourselves never really leaves us, even as we hope we're able to refine that younger version of ourselves. Jewish tradition reveres Moses as the greatest of all the prophets, yet we learn in our Parsha that greatness is a function of relationships even more than it is of innate talent. It is a function of self-awareness of one's past and struggles and how they inform one's present, even more than it is a function of what one is able to do. Even the most capable person needs friends and mentors and family and community in order to truly lead. Shabbat Shalom. I invite us to please rise as we prepare to conclude our service with Aleinu L'Shabeach on page 586. Page 586. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'teit gedula liotzer b'reishit, shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu koreim, Umishtachavim umodim, Lifnei melech malchei hamelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We turn the page. Shehu notei shamayim ve'oser haaretz u'moshev yikaro b'shamayim imal u'shchinatu zo begovei meromim hu Eloheinu einod Emet malkeinu evezulato kakatuv b'torato v'yadata hayom v'hashevota elevavecha ki Adonai hu ha'elohim b'shamayim imal ve'al haaretz mitachat einod Einod. Kakatuv batoratecha Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Page 591. V'ne'emar ve'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom ha'u. Vayom ha'u yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Please have a seat, everybody. Our thoughts turn now to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. In Hebrew, Kedushat Hashem, sanctification of God's name. As we remember them all, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We keep in mind tonight, Andrea San Marco, Andrea and Ron are on their way back from a trip because Andrea's father, Marty, suddenly passed away just recently. And so the funeral has not yet taken place, so we're not yet saying Kaddish, but we're certainly thinking of them, as we are thinking of all of our congregational family members in a period of mourning. And so if that is you and you are here to say Kaddish, I invite you, as I read the name of your loved one, to please rise and stay standing if you are comfortable doing so, as we remember those whom we have lost at this season in time gone by, including Jacob Whaler, Mark Geller, Rebecca Stoller, Anna Hans, Alfred Baslaw, Saul Jacob Grohl, Ruth Rosenblatt, Julius Zolshan, Nathan Drutman, Sarah Shapiro, Joseph Steinloff, Inda Steinloff, and Arthur Summer. If anyone else is here in a period of Jewish mourning, in the Shiva Shloshim, the 7 or 30 days following a loss, the Shana, the year following a loss, or to say Kaddish at Yortzeit on the anniversary of a death, I invite you to please rise and be recognized among our community of mourners. I invite everyone to please rise in solidarity with our mourners as we turn to page 598, sanctify God's name through these hallowed words. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach re'utei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'izman kariv v'imru, amen. Yeh shmei rabbah mevorach le'alam u'le'omei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shmei dekudesha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen Yehi shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the source of peace, who brings peace from the heavens above, also bring comfort to all who are bereaved, as together we say, Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru. Amen. Please have a seat, everybody. Shabbat shalom to all. Haida, please come forward. And I've got your announcements here if you need them. You got it? Okay.
Shabbat shalom. And a warm welcome to all guests with us here tonight. I'm Haida Mueller-Hatton, Director of Religious Activities. Please join us at 9 a.m. tomorrow for Tourist Study, led this week by Ira Wise, on Zoom only. You can find the link in your inbox. Immediately following Shabbat next Friday, July 19th, please join us for an oneg sponsored by the Harding family. Please bring your favorite dish and join us at the Goldberg residence on July 22nd from 5:30 to 7 p.m. for a potluck dinner, swimming on the lake, and outdoor fun. Please RSVP to Karen Goldberg. Her email is in your inbox. Fun summer events at TBT are in the works. Learning opportunities, hikes, swims, campfires with Havdalah, and the return of pizza and bingo are all coming up. So stay tuned. And again, Shabbat Shalom.
Please do, immediately following the service, join us in the social hall as we make Kiddush and Motzi together. We'll head there straight away, and then I promise there's all the schmoozing you could ever want right there. So I know it's very tempting to stay and schmooze, but we'll schmooze next door with food, right? Even better. That's the only way to improve schmoozing. We'll turn to page 648 for our closing song, Shir Chadash. This actually is from our Kabbalat Shabbat Psalms. Sing unto God a new song. Let our song always be new in our mouth. Shiru Adonai Kol Haaretz, Shiru Adonai Shir Chadash, Shiru Adonai Kol Haaretz, Shiru Adonai Shir Chadash. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru Adonai Kol Haaretz, Shiru Adonai Shir Chadash. Sing unto God, sing unto God, all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Everybody, let's hear your voices. Shiru L'Adonai Kol Haaretz, Shiru L'Adonai Shir Chadash. Last chance. Shiru Adonai Kol Haaretz, Shiru Adonai. I will sing unto God a new song. Adonai oz le'amo yitain. Adonai varech et ama v'shalom. God gives peace to all the earth. God, may you give strength and peace to your people, that we may bring it out into the world. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Let's go celebrate Shabbat together with